Well, gosh, who do we have here, and what are you doing sitting in our arena at Dunrovin?
Well, hello, my name's Forrest, Forrest Gump, and I saw this bench here and I was tired of running, so I thought I'd wait and catch the bus.
The bus.
Isn't
Yeah.
this a bus stop?
Well, no, but it could be a stagecoach stop. We've got horses and we've got wagons.
Stagecoaches?
Yeah.
Isn't that like from back in the Old West?
Well, this is the Old West. What brings you to our part of the world?
Well, I was just running through Montana and I got to Missoula and I made a left hand turn and then I came down into the Bitterroot Valley and here I am.
Well, wonderful. Nice to meet you, Mr. Gump. My name is Suzanne.
Would you like a chocolate,
Oh, I
Suzanne?
would love a
Mama
chocolate.
always said that life is like a box of
Oh,
chocolates.
yes.
You never know what you're
You
gonna get.
never know, do you? And my dad always told me, I've got lots of willpower, but I don't have any won't power.
Well, you
I
won't
won't
be able
say
to say
no.
no.
That's right. And what have
Well,
you got in your suitcase?
well, I just when you're a traveling fellow like me, it's nice to just take along a suitcase, and then that way you have the basics and the supplies you need.
Well, I guess so. Well,
Have a seat here.
well, I
This
will.
bench is big enough for both of us.
Yes.
So
This is,
how do you know this place, Dunrovin?
well, I named it.
You named it. Well,
I did.
it must be your baby,
It's my baby, and it's named after my great grandmother's cabin.
Dunrovin.
She had to leave Montana, and she came back to Montana, and she built a cabin, and she said, I'm done roving. I never meant to leave Montana, and I'm back to stay.
That's a great story.
Oh, and
Dunrovin.
I played in that cabin as a child, and so as an adult, I went away. I went to Chile, and I went to Alaska, and I came back, and I said, I'm done roving. I'm back in Montana to stay.
So you was like me. You went instead of just across the country 4 times. You went all across the world a few
I
times.
did, and I had a wonderful time, but there's no place like home.
There's no place like home.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
And this is my lovely Lady Lanza.
Hello, Lady Lanza.
Yes, and she's named after my dad, whose whose grandmother created Dunrovin. And
Wow.
and my great grandmother had a fancy gaited horse named Lady, and here I am with a fancy gaited horse named Lady Lanza after her grandson.
That's a beautiful story and a beautiful horse. Lady Lanza
Yeah,
is obviously the queen of this Dunrovin ranch.
she's a blonde bombshell, don't you think?
But I noticed she's got some pink on her. What's
Well,
that all
she
about?
does have some pink on her.
Looks
She's
like
got
she's got an owie or
she
something.
does. She's got some fly bites, and she's of the opinion that you don't try to hide your imperfections. You draw attention to them.
That's a Lady Lanza, you're smart.
Don't you think?
No sense in being embarrassed about just the way God made you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She has a reaction to flies, and so whenever she gets flies, she comes to me and says, "How about some of that pink stuff?
Oh,
Makes me look really pretty."
yeah, she does look nice.
Yeah, she
Yeah,
does.
very
Maybe,
good.
yeah, let's back you up here just a little bit, gal. Here.
She's certainly friendly enough.
She's very friendly enough. She's a wonderful horse. And you're a wonderful man to be
Well,
coming here.
thank you, Suzanne.
Yes, thank you. And in real life, your name is
Steve Weber.
Steve
But
Weber.
when I dress this way, people can't seem to remember that my name's Steve. They just call me Forrest.
Well, of course. You do him so well. You must have done him before.
Yes, I did. Kind of a funny story. 35 years ago, people said, "Hey, you look like that guy from Bosom Buddies," and
Ah,
and
bosom
Bosom Buddies was a TV show, and I didn't even know who the guy was, and nobody knew what his name was because he was just a young actor, and it was just the guy. You look like the guy from Bosom Buddies, and then of course that turned out to be Tom Hanks, and he did this TV show for about 2 years when he was in his early 20s, and then by the time he was in his late 20s, he was making movies, and by around 1990, he had become a pretty big star, and he was in lots of different movies, Big and League of Their Own, and then Sleepless in Seattle,
Oh,
and
yes.
uh, and then Philadelphia, and he won an Academy Award for
Yes, he's a
Philadelphia.
wonderful actor.
And the year after that, he made the movie Forrest Gump, and he won back-to-back Academy Awards. And the first time that's happened since I believe Cary Grant won back-to-back
And
Academy Awards.
that movie really became an American uh, focal point, Forrest Gump,
Yeah,
because it could have only happened in America.
It
It was such an American myth.
It was a low budget film. They in comparison to some of these blockbuster movies
Yeah.
that they make, they put it together, and Tom Hanks said, "I just want to do the role, and if it's successful, then you pay me some extra." And so it turned out to be good for everybody.
Good for
Yeah.
everybody. So, how did it go from that to you being
Well,
Forrest Gump?
so I had been told that I looked like that guy, and then in the '90s it was always like, "Do you know who you look like? Do you know who you look like?" And and I started saying, "I'm going to have to figure out how to make some money off of this." And I didn't necessarily think I was going to make any money off of it, but the person would always ask me, "Have you ever thought of making any money off of this? I
Oh,
see you have dogs
we
besides
have
horses."
dogs as well,
Excellent,
and they like
excellent,
being part of everything that goes on here.
excellent,
Yeah,
very good.
yeah. This is Jewel, and that's Cola.
Hello, Joel and Cola.
Yeah, a wet Jewel, I might add.
Yeah, wet Joel. So yes. Oh, yeah. Oh, good.
Now
Now we
we're
got a
wet
little.
too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we got a
yeah.
little shower there.
Okay.
Thank you, Jewel. Uh, but anyway, Halloween. I was a guy who enjoyed dressing up and pretending, and Halloween was a fun costume. So I became Forrest Gump in 1994 for Halloween. The movie came out in the summer, and so I even cut my hair, and I went to the costume the party, and I won first place
Well, you
as the best
would.
character, and then I thought that was it. I put my suit in the closet, and I didn't give it much more thought. And a year and a half later, I was out on a sales call, and I heard that they're going to open up the Bubba Gump Shrimp Restaurant, and it's going to be based on the movie. It's the first time that a fictitious brand from a movie, Forrest Gump, Bubba Gump Shrimp, became an actual restaurant and brand. And I ended up working for those folks for 15 years and opened up 22 restaurants in the U.S. and they opened up 8 international locations. And I got to go and I got to be Forrest. So I was actually a professional Forrest Gump for Bubba Gump for 15 years.
15 years. Now, the shrimp, there was a shrimper in the movie, and your partner in the shrimping business was Bubba. Is that
That's
right?
right,
So this
Bubba.
all came right directly out of the movie. And did Paramount have a hand in the Bubba?
Absolutely. Paramount was of course, Paramount owns the rights to Forrest Gump, and they created they put out the restaurant groups. Hey, what would you do? And if you had this brand, and so there were several different restaurant groups that submitted proposals and bids, and the Bubba Gump Shrimp Company was born, and it's really been a success story, and it's still going strong, and now they're up to 30 some restaurants, and they're going good. So
Well, that's fabulous. What an interesting career. But that's all in your past.
that's right. About 4 years ago, really about 6 years ago, I thought, well, there's something more to do with this character, um, because it really inspired people at their core. That you had mentioned that Forrest Gump was a American story, and I had heard people say it's my favorite story, and they would tell me about how certain scenes inspired them,
Yes.
and so I knew that there was something different for me in my future, and so I began the journey of developing a motivational message based on the movie and the theme. And when I started out about 6 7 years ago with it was just really talking about the movie, and
Good.
and then the idea of gumption and personal responsibility came into place, and so I invented the 3 principles of gumption: the way you think, the way you act, and the way you interact with others. And if you take responsibility for your thoughts, your actions, and your interactions with others, life suddenly becomes much easier. And Forrest was clearly a guy who took responsibility for his thoughts and actions and interactions with others. So that was how gumption was developed, and then finally my own story has kind of come into it, and now I like to I like to be a host for conferences where I don't enjoy going to an event and just speaking for as a keynote speaker, even though that's what I had worked to do for about 5 years. What I really enjoy is participating the entire time with the group, and
I think she
greeting
wants
them,
a
and
candy.
being an MC, and sharing chocolates with lots of folks, and doing a keynote and talking about gumption and personal responsibility. And that's really and ended up kind of how we ended up meeting.
We did. And I want to tell people that I went to a conference and Steve was there playing the role of Forrest Gump. And he was just wonderful. He got everybody talking, he got everybody engaged, and I was very smitten. And then I realized that he lived just within 35 miles of Dunrovin. And so my hope was that he would bring, this focus on having gumption in our lives. living our lives to the fullest with gumption, I thought was a wonderful, wonderful mission and message. And my hope is that he will bring it to Dunrovin.
Well,
Are you able to do that?
it would be an honor to be part of the Dunrovin family, and I, of course, I'm traveling around the world and working, so I wouldn't be able to be here every day. But if
Right.
we could just come, maybe once or twice a month, and some
Yes.
kind of a regular feature, I think it would be fun because I would like to learn more about the ranching. I've adopted Montana as my home state, and I really like what this state represents, and I really like what Dunrovin and what you're doing here, and how you bring people in from around the world, not just to come and stay here, but you bring them in through your webcams, and I think it's just a fun way to interact with people and to allow people to get a feeling for what Montana's all about.
Well, I really look forward to working with you. And I think there's a great overlap. I mean, you're wanting to learn about Montana. I'm wanting to learn about how people can live fuller lives. And I think it's something we can learn together.
That would be great. That would
Very
be
good.
wonderful.
And so you come back
Okay.
often as you can.
Well, maybe we can learn how to ride a horse, and
Oh, I would love to
and
get you out
and
riding a
and
horse.
and with all the dogs, I know that you do some special things with the
We
dogs, and
do.
and we have a swing I saw over there. We could sit
Yes,
on the swing
we
and
could.
talk about
We got
different things and
fire pits, and
fire pits.
we
It's
could invite some of our Native American friends to come and visit with us.
That would be really nice.
Yes.
And we could just have conversations,
Yes.
and sometimes we'll sit on the bench, and sometimes we'll be actually working on the ranch, doing things that need to be done. And because Steve and Forrest, they're not that smart, I have to ask a lot of questions and learn. And
But you always ask questions out of respect and out of wanting to know.
good.
And I think that's part of living with gumption.
Well, thank you, Suzanne.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Steve. Welcome to Dunrovin.
I'm
Give me a hug.
I'm glad to be part of the family.
Yes.
Thank you for making
Thank
me.
you.
So.
Thank you very much. Goodbye, everyone. Bye.